Yes, I'm Alexander Pluimers, an accountant from Belgium.
Belgium?
Belgium, yes.
Right, yes.
What I'd like to know is why God doesn't speak to us directly and clearly. Why does it use messengers and signs and so on that we have to interpret?
I can forgive you.
Why doesn't God speak to us directly? Why through messengers?
Right.
Why not directly to my
Okay,
mind?
yes, I understand. Please, God is the rarest of everything that exists, right? Waves are very rare, but still they are counted among the material existences. Can you discern the presence of radio waves here or television waves here? Can you? Directly through your five senses? You have to have a means, a go-between, through which the presence of the waves is conveyed to you. In this hall, this small canopy, this marquee, if you have the right means to reach the messages in the form of waves, you can hear any music here in this hall. German, Polish, Arabic, English, Urdu, whatever be your requirement, you will hear. And you can see any picture. But you must have the proper equipment. So when we are talking of material world, there's so much difference between one form of matter and the other form of matter, and one form of matter at the extreme spectrum, let's say, of consciousness. Or no, let me see. I have to reframe it. A form of life, a form of existence, which is on the one end of the spectrum of existence, is so rare that the other end of the spectrum cannot reach it directly anyway. Man happens to be on the one end, and the phenomenon, the radiational phenomenon, happen to be on the other. And some of them are closer and some are farther away. Those which are closer, we can still feel them by our five senses, despite their being rare. When our skin is burnt by ultraviolet rays, when the heat waves scorch us, and the absence of heat also makes us uncomfortable. These are the direct means of access through our five senses to this area of rare things. But beyond them, it's impossible. They exist and you have no means of reaching them directly. God lies beyond, because there is nothing like God. And he cannot be counted as one of his creatures. This is one argument which God has presented in favor of his being the creator. He said, none is like me, and everyone else is like each other. They share some forms of attributes and properties. Anything which exists must have some commonality with other things which exist. God says, I am the only exception, because the Creator does not create himself. And this argument is further extended in the Holy Quran to remind mankind that because you have been created and you are not the creator of yourself, so there has to be another one. But that other one must lie beyond the realm of creation. And because we are thinking only in terms of our own creational experiences, so that is why it becomes very difficult for us to understand God. But God has made it easy for us by declaring that I can be reached if you are truly in search of me. And I can be in communion with those who want to be in communion with me. But for that, they have to create some similarity whereby like the tuning fork must have the same wavelength. Now, to hear God, you must acquire some qualities of God, attributes of God, which attune you to Him. And when this happens, then if so, God so chooses, He delivers His messages to man. And the question is, why should we believe in the message of God which has been delivered to someone to be the true message? If He has not spoken to us directly, how can we believe? The answer to this very important question is given in two different ways. Number one, according to the Quran, the phenomenon of dreams which come true, the phenomenon of warnings given to man through, say, some parapsychological expression of man's psyche. According to the Quran, it is all designed by God to inform man of all a world, of the whole world and all the ages, that there does exist something which is not material, but which has the power to know the future and to know the unknown. Now here, according to the Quran, God makes no difference, no differentiation between godly people and ungodly people. Even the atheists are gifted by God sometimes with dreams which come true, and if they have eyes which can see, they must realize, why should a dream come true anyway? Because the future is unknown to man. There is no direct scientific access to the realm of future. Yet this happens universally so much that now it has become a science, well-established science. Branches of this science have been opened in the well-established universities of the world. The Cambridge has such research section where parapsychic issues are being investigated. Great American universities have now regular branches where this issue is taken up as a scientific pursuit. Scientific only in the sense to judge the existence of such thing not by direct evidence but through human experience, and to rule out any possibility of fraud. Yet the very nature of parapsychology lies beyond human reach. So my concept, my belief, which I have expressed also during my visit to some American universities which had this section, like in North Carolina, my belief has always been that man was provided by this mechanism within him to be able to receive messages which are delivered to him without any noise, sound or wave vibration from outside. Everything seems to be created from within. But if whatever is created from within relates to an area where human psyche could not reach directly, then that experience is not a psychic experience, then it is an experience which is controlled expression of God's communion. So how could He commune with us if man was not provided with this internal apparatus? But every man has different qualities, different style of life. Sometimes his apparatus is rusted because of lack of use. Sometimes his interests lie outside in the thick form of materialism, in the thickest form of materialism. And rare things do not mean anything. So such people never have such experiences. But those who have, they are divided into two sorts. Those who have these experiences as controlled and commanded by God. and those who have just psychic expressions. How can you differentiate? According to the Quran, here comes the ultimate answer to your question. According to the Quran, if a man is true to himself and true to his people, true to his to the mankind in general, only he can be trusted by God to deliver a message from him to mankind. This is why it is highly essential for every prophet to be judged by the people of his own time, to have been a man of truth all through his life before he claimed to be from God. And there is no exception to this rule. Jesus was known to be a true man. Prophet Muhammad was known to be a true man. Prophet Moses was known to be a true man. Even before the claim that they made of being messengers of God to deliver mankind with a divine message. So that is the real criterion. If somebody else is given the message, how can we believe? How can we believe anyone anyway? Why should I believe you? Why should you believe me? Only through your experience. When you know me to be a true man, and if you can't find any ulterior motives for any expression I make, it is normal for a man to trust such a person. But this trust only begins when ulterior motives can be traced, not otherwise. But if a man is known to have been so true that even against his own personal interest he speaks truth and suffers from the consequences, then what right on earth have you got to claim it to be a false person? The choice of God always lies within this area of human experience, where people are known to be so different in the society, as if they belong to the society yet do not belong to the society. The previous behavior and conduct, every prophet is like this. Then, when they are so chaste, so true, so honest, one fine morning when they have already lived the major part of their youth and enter the borders of old age, what should happen to them? That they should suddenly start attributing lies to God. For what ulterior motives? Of course, a man can become liar at any age. You know, there is no, we cannot fix any age for people to start telling lies or to stop telling lies. So what is the answer to this question? The answer to this question is that man always lies when he is rewarded for the lies. Never lies when he is punished for the lies. Find one exception. Nowhere in human behavior in the world you will find any man telling a lie to be punished. When caught in an act of crime, he will always tell lies, of course, to save his neck. But when he knows that what I am claiming is punishable, and in such atrocious way that it becomes impossible for an ordinary man to suffer the life of misery after the claim to prophethood. There is no reason whatsoever to attribute lies to such prophets. Therein also lies the answer to why should God make his own dear ones suffer when he loves them the best. If Jesus was the most loved of God during his lifetime, why should he suffer so much? Because in his suffering lies the truth of his claim. In his suffering lies the proof of Allah's existence.